Songpo and welcome to Bhutan This Week. I am Namgizam. In this week's top stories, His Majesty the King has granted audience to the Dzongkhag and local government officials in Tagana. 6 new HIV cases have been detected in the last 6 months. And a school was shut down and several others downgraded in Shemgang as the student population has dropped drastically. His Majesty the King has granted audience to the Dzongkhag and local government officials in Tagana. Their Majesties the King and the Gyaltsen were in Tagana as part of their tour to the southern districts that began on the 14th of this month from Phintsiling.
The Majesties the King and the Gyaltsen arrived in Tagana from Galifu on Tuesday. Yesterday, the Majesties visited Daga Tashiang Dzong. At the Dzong, people of Tagana offered Kusu Thugi Mender to their Majesties. His Majesty also granted audience to the Dzongkhag and local government officials of Tagana Dzongkhag. Later, the Majesties met with the students of Daga Higher Secondary School. And today, His Majesty gave a Tokhatu gathering of over 1,500 people. This is His Majesty's first visit to the Dzongkhag since his coronation in 2008. His Majesty's last visit to Dagana was made in 2006 as part of the nationwide draft constitution consultation meeting. While in Galifu earlier this week, His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Gyaltsen visited the police training center in Jimiling. The Majesties met with the families of police at the center. His Majesty also granted audience to recruits at the Royal Bhutan Police Training Center. The Majesties visited the Aruna Research and Development Center in Bur and granted audience to the staff. The Shinongmo, BBS News.
The Health Ministry has detected 6 new HIV-positive cases over the past 6 months. This takes the total number of cases detected in the country to 297 now.
Of the 6 new cases detected, 5 were female and 1 is male. They are between 9 to 39 years old. This takes the total number of cases detected this year to 27. The new cases come at a time as the Health Ministry launches efforts to eliminate new HIV infection by 2015. The Health Ministry plans to achieve this by eradicating mother-to-child transmission. 297 HIV-positive cases have been detected so far since the first one in 1993. 51% are female and 49% male. 54 HIV-infected people have died so far. Currently, there are 229 people living with HIV in the country. The Health Ministry says people living with HIV in Bhutan are mostly from the highly reproductive age group.
The Dalit Community School in Shemgang was shut down last year as there hadn't been enough students. And now our Shemgang correspondent Pema Samdrup reports that some other community schools are on the verge of meeting the same fate.
Rural-urban migration is being blamed for the shrinking number of students in community schools in Shemgang. Last year, Dalit Community School in Jokha Gyok was closed down due to negligible number of students. Tali, Rapati and Kikhar community primary schools are almost in the same boat. These 3 schools were once primary schools. They were downgraded to community schools as the number of students dropped drastically year after year.
When I first came in 2010, there are 59 students. Then in 2011 we have declined up to 38. Then in 2012 we have only 28. So yearly, when you look at the figure, so it's going down. I think in the coming year I have already surveyed and I have found in the locality there are only 4 to 5 students which will be going to admit in 2013.
According to National Statistics Bureau, 525 students were enrolled in pre-primary in Shemgang in 2008. The figure decreased to 410 by 2010. Apart from rural-urban migration, the declining student population is being blamed on the family planning as well.
Because of family planning, the number of birth has decreased. Consequently, there is less number of children and this is forcing closure of schools.
Some are studying in schools outside Shemgang, others in government job in different places. So there are only few of us left behind.
Many people left the villages for government jobs. A very few stayed back.
Meanwhile, the Dzongkhag education officials said in the 11th five-year plan, a new policy will be implemented. As a part of the new policy, community schools with more than 100 students will be upgraded to primary schools. The rest will function as extended classrooms.
This problem of school being shut down in the rural areas because there aren't enough students, again bringing up the issues of rural-urban migrations. And the question is, are we doing enough to curb the rural-urban migrations?
The UN Conference on Climate Change is underway in Doha in Qatar. The conference hopes to forge a new agreement on curbing greenhouse gas emissions as the Kyoto Protocol expires at the end of this year.
The annual UN Conference on Climate Change opened yesterday at the Qatar National Convention Center. More than 17,000 delegates and representatives from non-governmental organizations, business and academia from around the world are taking part. Bhutan's delegation is led by the Cabinet Secretary. Dashipendra Wanchu will deliver Bhutan's statement at the high-level meeting where heads of more than 190 countries will conglomerate on last 2 days of the conference. The UN climate meeting, which continues through December 7, will see setting second commitment period of Kyoto Protocol. Kyoto Protocol's first commitment period ends this year. It sets binding obligations on industrialized countries to reduce greenhouse gas emission. Other important issues beside the protocol will be long-term cooperative action and Green Climate Fund, which promises a financing mechanism for developing countries like Bhutan to adapt to climate change impacts. Sonam Phunso for BBS News.
The government of India had committed a total of 20 billion Nultrum to Bhutan's 10th five-year plan under the GOI's Project Tide Assistance. Of that, over 15 billion Nultrum has been disbursed so far. This was reported earlier this week at the 4th Project Monitoring Committee meeting on GOI's Project Tide Assistance to Bhutan.
The Project Monitoring Committee reviewed the progress of the project under the GOI Project Tide Assistance. The two sides also discussed issues causing delay in the implementation of the projects. The Secretary of the GNH Commission said most of the major projects will be completed on time. However, he pointed out that delay in release of fund and cost escalation hampers timely implementation of the projects. The head of the GOI delegation assured that efforts will be made to make sure that the release of fund does not affect project implementation.
The 10th five-year plan will come to an end in the next 6 months. So we will make sure that all funds are released well in time. In the meeting we've discussed that since the last PMC meeting in July, substantial amount of funds have been released. And like I said earlier, in most cases the fund release is up to the level of 88%, 90%, 85%. The lowest I've seen since morning is about 75%. So we still have enough time, and most of the funds requests that we have received are under progress, are in the system for release. So we'll be able to release the funds very soon.
GOI Project Tide Assistance in 10th five-year plan includes projects under various ministries and agencies. The areas of assistance include roads, energy, livestock, agriculture, culture and judiciary. Sharab Sangmo for BBS News.
Shopkeepers in Buli in Shemgang say the village needs a township. They conveyed this wish of theirs to the Prime Minister during his recent visit to Shemgang.
This is Buli village in Shemgang. When Prime Minister Jimmy Waitanle visited the village recently, people raised the need for a township. Lynchen agreed that Buli needs a township, but he said it is not a task that can be planned overnight. He told people that it requires a lot of research, time, resources and lots more.
Since this place is densely populated and is located near the highway, it has high potential to become a town. But at present, the land is owned by a private. So we will research, plan and design properly and begin the work in 11th five-year plan.
단수가라 지카 배심래 땡가 제기 삽차 나가 가라 조디기 배심래 제 체시 주주변날로 고스케 에세 딜랍니 말해.
Located on a hilltop, Bule is 60 kilometers from Shemgang town. Unlike some remote villages in Shemgang, Bule has all basic amenities, a school, a BHU and even a farm road and power supply. There are also shops, about 10 currently, but the land where these shops stand are private, taken on lease by the shopkeepers.
nam jabyo nami sami chap chap thampatin le chimdia dero le shomi an chongpodi sunami sami kangel bommi sunina
tom youtube chi bewo chindi damchilo ngachra sonsomegi misi dilu pembo dusunibi.
If there is town, it will benefit shopkeepers like us. Secondly, since 80% of people depend on agriculture, it will not only improve the business of shopkeepers, but will bring socio-economic development in the locality.
Apart from Buli, people of Shinkar and Bardo buy necessities from these shops. Compiled for Sujaman Thapa, Pemalhadan for BBS News.
The shopkeepers in Pangthang village in Shemgang will no longer need to transport their goods on horseback. This good news comes with the ongoing construction of the Gomfu Panbang highway having reached Pangthang village.
Absogi is one of the 15 shopkeepers in Pangthang. He has been into the business for 15 years now. With no road, Sogi and other shopkeepers had to bring in goods on horseback all the way from Gelifu. Because they had to pay for the horses, they charged the goods higher than the actual price. But now it's different. The ongoing Gomfu Panbang construction has reached Pangthang, and this has benefited the shopkeepers in the Pangthang a lot. They now bring in their goods in vehicles.
In the past, we used to bring the goods on horseback from Gelifu and Tingtibi. We pay around 600 to 800 Nultram. But now, with the road, it has benefited us.
Others have the same story to share. Customers have also benefited. Shopkeepers now sell at a lower price because of the decreased transportation charge. Compiled for Surjaman Thapa, Sonam Lhamo for BBS News.
It has been found that child delivery at home is still being practiced by families in the remote villages of Tagana and Sirang.
Relieved and happy, Mon Bahadur Gurung enters the hospital maternity ward to see his wife and their newborn. Mon Bahadur said he cannot believe that he went through a nightmare a few days ago. While trying to deliver the child at home, his wife and child almost lost their lives. He thanks his fate for being able to bring his pregnant wife at hospital on time. He said had there been proper transportation facilities available in his village, he would have chosen at any time to take his wife to the hospital.
It was difficult to remove the womb. I, along with some of my friends from the village, tried to help in delivery, but it was impossible and dangerous.
Mon Bahadur's wife was admitted in a hospital in a very critical condition. With excess bleeding, her life and baby's life were in danger. With timely blood donation, their lives were saved.
There are risks for the mother as well as the baby. Risks to the mother could be because of bleeding. And bleeding occurs because of tear in the birth, tear in the womb, or because of the retained placenta.
Low literacy and lack of emergency obstetric care in remote regions are said to be some of the causes of high maternal deaths. This year alone, Dunfu Hospital has registered over 7 such cases. Compiled for Yishin YouTube, Pematsuki for BBS News.
Many in Mongar who had lost their vision due to cataract have now got back their sight thanks to an eye camp held recently.
Namgam from Yadi lost her eyesight to cataract. She has been completely blind for 4 months.
I lost the vision of one of my eyes 2 years back. Then about 4 months ago, my other eye failed too, leaving me in the dark.
But her days in the dark are over now. Cataracts in her eyes have been removed and her eyesight restored at the 10-day eye camp underway in Mongar. It's the same story with 74-year-old Nidu.
Since mid this year, I've been completely blind. I could not do anything of my own.
Many who underwent cataract surgery were overwhelmed with happiness as they found themselves able to see again. Cataract is a clouding of the eye's lens, the part of the eye that is responsible for focusing light. For many, cataract occurs because of old age.
Cataract is whitening of the inside part of the lens. The lens becomes white. Inside of the eye there's a lens which becomes white, and then that slowly obscures the vision and patient become blind. And it's the world #1 leading cause of blindness, and it can be easily cured with a simple surgery.
So far, about 17 people were operated and 15 more will undergo operation tomorrow. The eye camp ends on the 30th of this month. Compiled for Kingatashi, Deshinwangmo, BBS News.
That's a wrap for this week. Do join us again next Friday at the same time. Have a wonderful weekend.